It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do, you do. From the Dixieline Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, we welcome you to our Thursday podcast as we head towards a great sports weekend. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, John Riley. We're going to be here for the next hour plus to talk sports with you. This podcast is brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. If you've got projects in the home, at work, on the back patio, up by the pool, think Dixieline Lumber. 9 locations to serve you. Been in business for more than 100 years. Invite you to go to Dixieline.com to see all the things that they have to offer. John Riley, good afternoon. You can say thank you right now, because I was going to mandate that you do your portion of this podcast from out in left field outside. But when I got in my car, it was 109 degrees in my driveway in Rancho Bernardo. So just say thank you that I let you come back into the air-conditioned studios in the castle. I can't freaking believe it's 109. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. We should all go down to Dixieline. They sell those big fans, just to blow all the hot air out.
There'll be a lot of hot air in the studio before we're done this afternoon,
you know about hot air.
So listen, there's a lot to cover. We do sports talk the way it should be done. We put a lot of topics on the table. When we're done talking about the hot stories of the day and the hottest afternoon we've seen in a year, we open it up to the Fans Forum for you, the fans, to jump on board and take part. How does Fans Forum work? Update everybody who's just joining us on the live stream.
Okay, Fans Forum is your chance to get involved and talk sports with this guy right here, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. And if you have a question or comment, just type it in the live chat, preferably on YouTube, but also on X and Facebook. It'll work as well. So look forward to seeing you in Fans Forum.
Fans Forum coming up at the end of our podcast. In addition, you like sports? You should check my website. I write on this website every day of the week. It's a volume of information. We post it late at night. It's there first thing in the morning. Sample what I deliver. LeeHacksawHamilton.com. It's right there. When you jump into the website, right on the main page, there's an orange box. Fill it out. You'll get on Hacksaw's Insiders Group, our email list. We send out 2 emails a day, special stuff to the members of the Insiders Group. Want you to share, want you to subscribe. Tell everybody what we do on this podcast Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. And when you subscribe, you will get the alert every time we put something new on the YouTube channel. And we do that a lot of different days during the course of the week. You're on social media. I'm on social media. Want you part of my Twitter all-star team? Just punch up my name, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, hit the follow button, or just go to @Hacksaw1090, and then you'll be able to participate in things like my Hacksaw mini polls and all the other things that I put up on social media. So we go a lot of different directions on all the different social media platforms. John, we're going a lot of different directions before we get to Fans Forum, because we got a lot of late-breaking stories here we want to cover and talk about. Where do you want to start?
Okay, let's, we usually start with Padres, but let's talk Dodgers to kick it off.
Let's talk Dodger baseball. Bullpen is bullcrap. Dodgers are in huge trouble. Do you remember a month ago when the Dodgers were 9 games ahead of everybody in the National League West? Do you know, as the Dodgers get ready to play Toronto in a big showdown series on Friday, they're only 2 games ahead of the surging San Diego Padres. And the Dodgers have problems everywhere. They didn't do hardly anything at the baseball trade deadline, and the bullpen problems continue to be bull crap. And they can't solve it. Brock Stewart, who came from the Minnesota Twins in that last-minute transaction, has had 2 opportunities to pitch, and he's given up the lead twice there. They have wasted some unbelievable pitching outings. Shohei Ohtani in his last start went 4 innings, struck out 8, and was dazzling, clocked it over 100 miles an hour, and the Dodger bullpen gave up that game. Prior to that, Tyler Glasnow had a 12-strikeout outing, and the Dodger bullpen gave that game up too. The Dodger bullpen has 17 blown saves already, and it's just middle of August. 4.25 ERA that bullpen is carrying with them. The bullpen has given up 61 home runs already this season. Tell you what, and they've used 25 different relief pitchers this season. Dodgers are in huge trouble because of the bullpen. There's no doubt the front of the rotation is going to be superb, and if they stay healthy, going to be really good. You can't trust anybody in the back of the bullpen. Dodgers have got some other problems. Now, Tanner Scott, who really caved in the middle of the season, has thrown his first bullpen session, getting ready to come off the disabled list. So far, so good. Roki Sasaki, the Japanese rookie sensation, who's been down since May with the shoulder impingement problem, he's going to throw 3 innings in a simulated game on Friday before the Dodgers play the Blue Jays. If there's no setback there, then they're going to send him to probably AAA Oklahoma City to make a couple of rehab starts. He's been clocked in the high 90s. He says he's pain-free so far. So the Dodgers have got all kinds of issues on that pitching staff. And on top of that, because there's been so much emphasis on Ohtani getting back, and they're trying to get him to 5 innings and maybe beyond that in the final month and a half of the season. On the days in which Ohtani pitches, he's got a 2.50 ERA, very impressive. On the days he pitches, he's hitting 219. Not good at all. And then there's the Mookie Betts problem. He has finally admitted he still has pain in the broken hand when he was hit by a pitch a year ago in the middle of the season. You know, at the end of the year, he hit 189 for the Dodgers, trying to play through after the rehab with a broken hand, and he's only hitting 236 this season. But they have refused to knock him down in the batting order, either bats leadoff or bats second, sharing that time with Ohtani. So the Dodgers are not a complete team. And here come the Toronto Blue Jays. Hottest team, second hottest team to Milwaukee. They are unbelievably gifted, and they're just pounding the ball. Do you know by Sunday night, the Dodgers could be out of first place in the National League West? And they used to be 9 games ahead. So the Dodgers they're checking off a lot of boxes, a lot of trouble spots at Chavez Ravine right now. John Riley, you've been following this. Some days you wear Dodger blue colors. You tell me what you think the Dodgers are going to be, what they can be, what they have to do right now. Because that's a shocker to go from 9 games up on everybody to just 2 with all these problems.
Well, you know, Dodger fan has been showing a little bit of anxiety online. You know, before they were cocky, right? Dodger fan was saying we have all these injuries and we're still ahead in this division by 5 games, 7 games. Now it's down to 2. So you're starting to see Dodger fans starting to acknowledge, hey, we didn't get the relief pitching that we needed. You know, our next door neighbor got a lot of it, but we didn't get any of that relief pitching. And I look at those guys in that bullpen, and there's some star guys that you recognize, you know, then there are those young kids that, you know, were going to eventually be starters, but they ended up coming up, being sent down, getting hurt. Now the dudes they pull in that bullpen, I never heard of them. I mean, they must be like from high A or double A ball.
They got depth problems, and they've got responsibility problems. Now, I just need you to clarify. Are you saying to me, with your opening statement about Dodger fan anxiety, admitting, is Dodger fan now agreeing with me? Is that what you're insinuating?
I think they're saying it's getting a little bit nervous, a little bit too close for comfort, you know, so we'll see. But could the Dodgers be out of first place by this end of this weekend? It's possible.
Remember, that just came out of his mouth.
It's possible. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's mathematically possible. We'll see if it's possible on the field.
The coolest thing, these 2 teams, Dodgers, Padres, Padres, Dodgers, they're going to play each other 6 times in the final 2 weeks of the month of August. 6 times starting. Is it August 15th yet?
I know, yeah, soon.
That's when it starts. So we got a lot of baseball to be played, but this is not the race the Dodgers used to own. They've given it all up. Might they be out of first place by Sunday night by the time we get done with the weekend series? That's the Dodger perspective. Let's talk about the brown and gold.
Yeah, the brown and gold. Padres, an impact or an incomplete team?
Okay, big question. Now, I don't want you grinding on me, yelling at me, cursing at me, but I'm going to ask some pointed questions. So the Padres have beat up teams with no pitching. Arizona's got the worst freaking relief core I think I've seen in a long time. Arizona challenges the Dodgers for incompetency and lack of trustworthiness in the bullpen right now. And prior to that, they crashed St. Louis, which has just folded its tent. I think the Padres still have things that have to be answered. I guess my statement would be for Padre fan on this podcast. We know potential of that pitching staff, but it's not proven right now because of health issues more than anything else. I mean, Nick Pivetta has been spectacular. Dylan Cease has had one real dominant outing, and the rest of it has been substandard. That's not vintage Dylan Cease. So are we wishing and hoping that one good outing is the springboard to the rest of the season, or is this a start-by-start thing with Dylan Cease? Yu Darvish, he had that mystical, magical appearance a start ago, but on either side of those starts, since coming off the DL, he's kind of been banged all over the yard. Huge question mark there. I am a little surprised that they have moved Michael King off the disabled list back into the rotation effective this weekend. He is going to start against the Boston Red Sox. He had one rehab outing, and he didn't really dominate at AAA. He kind of got banged around. We'll find out. They say he's healthy. He feels he's healthy, but is he close to being major league ready after just 1 3 1/3 outing where he kind of got lit up down at AAA El Paso? So I'm reserving judgment on all those guys. Obviously, the Cortez started after coming down from Milwaukee in the trade 2 years ago. That was a dominant left-hander. He had some good innings and rocky innings, but he's hardly pitched at all. So he's at the back end of the rotation, and you're just hoping to build him as you go forward. At the end of the day, it sure looks like your rotation is Nick Pivetta, 11-3, with a mystical season, and then everybody else you're wishing and hoping for. Now, you can call, what's the area code in El Paso? You can call El Paso and bring Randy Vasquez back, but we all know what that is. That's 3+ innings. You could bring Matt Waldron back, but Waldron has not dominated in the National League since the middle of last summer. And I just don't think Kyle Hart or any JP Sears are the answer. So my gut feel is we know the potential of what this Padres staff could be if it's all in place. But right now, it's not proven, aside from the greatness of Nick Pivetta. So we'll talk about this whole Padres situation going forward. You tell me where they are. A little bit concerned about this experiment with Yu Darvish's arm slot. That first time he did it, he was dominant. Second time he did it, the ball was all over the place, including 3 balls that could have been wild pitches, wound up being balls to the backstop. So we got that storyline. We talked a week ago today at the baseball trade deadline about the brilliance of A.J. Preller and the deals that A.J. Preller was going to make. And then we got on the air Monday and we talked about, my God, he made 5 trades in 7 hours and he traded the whole farm system away. And they must have given him a little leeway with the payroll. Well, they did not. What we found out yesterday through the Baltimore Sun is that the acquisitions of the 2 bats who came from the Orioles, they got Baltimore to pay virtually all the salary of Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano. But that's why it wound up being a 6-for-2 trade, as Preller kept going back to the Orioles and asked Mike Elias, would you pay up more of the contracts? I can't take these contracts on. Baltimore's general manager came back and said, sure, you throw me another one of your young players. And that's how it wound up being 6-for-2 going to the Orioles, because the Birds are picking up 80% of the contract. And of course, Preller did the exact same thing last year with the Miami Marlins when he got Luis Arraez.
Right.
But he had to overpay in terms of talent going if you're asking Marlins to eat the contract. It was really interesting to see how this whole thing worked out. We thought that he had taken on $4.7 million. He only took on $1.2 million for this year because he got these other teams to pay the salaries, but he had to fork over what was left in the farm system to make that happen. So we got all things Padre baseball proven or just potential because we don't know about these guys. You agree or disagree with me?
I on the pitching, I'm not really concerned. I mean, I think we if you assemble all of our guys and like to your point, are they going to be playing at the highest peak level? There are questions, but generally speaking, pitching hasn't been our problem this year. It's been the hitting, the timely hitting, the clutch hitting, runners in scoring position hitting is where my concern is. So if you got a starting rotation, and yeah, you got Pivetta out there, let's just say Yu Darvish is solid. He's not spectacular he's like a good If we have that, if Michael King, I think, is going to be fine. I mean, he was out for
You don't know that. You're doing this
no,
podcast
but he was just pitching in like El Paso, and he has no pain.
and he got lit up.
It's El Paso. What's the area code there? So I don't know. I think they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Nestor Cortez looked pretty good last night, except for a couple of pitches. He went almost 5 innings, didn't he? So it's the hitting that's the concern, and I'm really worried about this roster construction because, it was weird last night because Tatis wasn't in right field and he looked like he was in the dumps when he was sitting in the dugout.
Well, he was burned out. They wanted to give him 48 hours off. They gave him, obviously, Wednesday night off. Thursday night, there is no game. So he'll have had 48 hours with the next game, the weekend series, important series, credibility series, because they're playing the Red Sox. Are damn hot, too.
Yeah, so he's an interesting mystery to figure out. Hopefully he fixes it. But still, you saw that configuration with O'Hearn in right field, which was interesting. And, you had a rise at first base. And then you're wondering, well, if Tatis came back, O'Hearn hits the home run. You like to keep him in the mix, but Laureano's already in left field. So I think there's some questions of, do you want to go with O'Hearn or a rise at first base? And maybe that's where the platoon needs to be.
Except that a rise hits all the time. O'Hearn occasionally hits a home run. Different. I think I'd rather have a rise for the 4 at-bats than I would wishing and hoping with O'Hearn. Work in progress. And here come the Red Sox. And those guys are rolling. They've got maybe the youngest team in terms of batting order that I've seen in a long time. And virtually everybody in Boston's hitting the ball, led by the guy who's still there, Jarren Duran. He's pushed his batting average up to 298.
Nice.
And the Red Sox are just, they're chasing Toronto now. And everybody's blown by the New York Yankees, which is a stunner. So I'll tell you, we got a great weekend of baseball. We got Padres Bo Sox at Petco. We got Dodgers Blue Jays at Chavez Ravine. And those 2 American League teams coming here, both those teams are really rolling in the American League East. One last baseball topic. This is kind of unique and this is kind of different.
Yeah, I mean, this is a groundbreaking history here.
Yeah, the lady is the ump. That's a good comment. Her name is Jen Powell. First female umpire to work in a major league game in baseball history. She'll be on the field. Atlanta Braves, Miami Marlins series beginning tomorrow. Fascinating story. A legendary college softball player, got into umpiring, has umpired everywhere. Went to the Major League Baseball umpire school at Vero Beach, Dodgertown, which they hold in the offseason. Did a really great job, and she got signed to a contract. And she has worked her way from rookie ball to the top AA league there is, and she's graded out extensively well. She has now come in, and she will be the first female umpire, and she's going to call balls and strikes, I believe, in the Saturday Marlins-Braves game. I mean, it's quite a story about dedication. The last woman who attempted to crack the barrier was a woman that I met and interviewed in Phoenix. Her name was Pam Postema when I was doing Sports Talk Radio in Phoenix. And she'd climbed the ladder too. She got into the Pacific Coast League. And that's where I met her when she was doing Phoenix Giants games. And then she got the chance to go to spring training that following year to work Cactus League games. Never got hired. Went back and stayed in the minor leagues and then eventually retired. So this is the first one ever to get to the show. How cool is that? And the intangible part of this story, John, umpires have a very private career. Umpires have a very lonely career because the umpires don't travel with teams, don't have relationships with the teams. They're in very separate hotels. The crews may get together, or maybe the crews just go on their own to have some space away from baseball. But think about that package, and then think about her. She's by herself. She's the only female in an umpiring crew. So you talk about a long, lonely road when you're not doing a game and you're not part of a crew away from the stadium. How about that in terms of being dedicated to the goal. So that's be fascinating to see. National media today just started to pick up the story on Jan. So she deserves this opportunity because she's graded out and she's taken every proper step. But think about the road traveled, how hard that must be. In your reaction?
Well, I don't want to be mean or anything. This is interesting, but it's no big deal. As far as I'm concerned, it's no big deal. If she has the merit to do it, then do it, and I don't know if this needs to be something celebrated. Well, I'll start celebrating when we have automatic balls and strikes, computer robo ump. So I don't want a gender of an umpire. I want to get it right.
Okay. I concur with you wholeheartedly. I'm being fascinated. I want to see what her strike zone is. It can't be any worse than Angel Hernandez or some of the other people that have skewed this whole thing who are responsible for the robo-ump coming to Major League Baseball next season. But she's deserved these accolades and this opportunity. It's going to be fascinating.
I want to see her get like in a nose-to-nose like battle with one of the managers in the league.
Yeah, where the hell is Earl Weaver or Mike Schilt or things of that nature? So it's going to be very interesting. So that's all things Major League Baseball. Fans Forum chat box is open. Dodger fan, is your team in trouble? Padre fan, would you please answer my question? We know potential. Is this group proven right now, considering how many guys are dinged up? And the lady is an ump. What's your response? Fans Forum chat box is open. Talking baseball. We are not done. Next topic on the table. Big weekend NFL.
Big weekend in the NFL. Look at this board, man. It's loaded with games.
Yeah, it's the first full weekend of NFL preseason games. Let me just run through some bullet points for you. Raiders play Friday night in Seattle. Homecoming game. The emergence of Pete Carroll wearing the silver and black, going back to the team he coached for and led him to a Super Bowl. That's storyline number one. Storyline number two, Raider quarterback is Geno Smith. What did he do? He threw for 3,400 yards last year with Seattle. He really made them competitive, but now he's wearing the silver and black. Item three, really popular player in the Pacific Northwest, played at Boise State, Ashton Genty, makes his debut, number one draft pick of the Raiders. And then you got the mad scientist who used to be in Oregon, which is in the Pacific Northwest, right next door to Seattle. That's Chip Kelly calling the plays. So it's going to be fascinating to see Raiders and all these new pieces playing the Seahawks. Sam Darnold, I believe, is going to start for Seattle. He, of course, is their new quarterback who came in the offseason as a free agent. So that's storyline number one. Second was Indianapolis. The Colts play the Baltimore Ravens. Huge question. Anthony Richardson, is he a bust? Anthony Richardson, will he be better in year three than he was in the composite of years 1 and 2? Anthony Richardson can stay healthy. Colts got to get an answer. So they're going to play him as their starting quarterback. But boy, the jury is way out. He's such a really good physical specimen, John, and he's completing 46% of his passes. He's really erratic and way more turnovers and touchdowns. And for 2 years into an NFL career, those are not good statistics. So we'll keep an eye on that Indianapolis Colts game. Third one is Cincinnati Bengals with all this mess with Trey Hendrickson. They're going to play Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is going to start in this game against the Philadelphia Eagles, against the Eagles' high-powered defense. Burrow says, I want to play, I need to play, etc. So that bears watching too. Fourth one is the Cleveland Browns. You know the old phrase, if you got two quarterbacks, you probably don't have a starter. The Browns now have five. The Browns have 5 quarterbacks on their roster.
Who's the fifth one?
I'll tell you in a second. Well, I'll tell you right now. They just signed Tyler Huntley, former Utah star. He's bounced all over the league. He's spent a chunk of time with the Baltimore Ravens. They just signed him. The reason is they got a lot of guys dinged up. Joe Flacco looks like he's the starter at age 42, and he's not going to play in the preseason game. The second quarterback was the one that was with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and he's not going to play. He's got a hamstring problem that's not healing at all. Kenny Pickett. Third quarterback is Dylan Gabriel, who played well in the OTAs, has not played well in preseason camp, and he's got a hamstring problem in addition to being overwhelmed. So he's out. The fourth quarterback is Shedeur Sanders, who's going to start. Get this, Shedeur Sanders has not taken any snaps with the number one Browns unit up until yesterday. Wednesday was the first day he took number one snaps, 20 snaps. I don't know that he's really ready, but he's gonna start, and we're gonna find out how he holds up against defenses. Going to be fascinating. They're going to play the Carolina Panthers. And of course, still out there is Deshaun Watson, who's got all this guaranteed money and can't play, and Tyler Huntley, who just got to camp on Wednesday. So Shedeur is going to start with very little practice time. New England, they're going to play Washington. It's the beginning of the display of the all things Mike Vrabel culture. Fascinating to see. And they're using this phrase in New England's camp. They're not talking as much about Drake May, the young quarterback who played well last year under siege. They're talking about the new look defense. He signed 8 free agent defensive starters. And the phrase is violent. Mike Vrabel's defense is violent. So we're going to gauge where New England is. I think everybody's fascinated to see the change of culture and the impact Mike Vrabel has. They're going to play the Washington Commanders, who, by the way, are not going to play Jaden Daniels in that game. Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, the ball is yours. The job is yours. Go do it. Missed all the last season with the meniscus surgery, has undergone every conceivable type of therapy, has undergone every intensive teaching lesson possible for a young quarterback. J.J. McCarthy is going to be the starting quarterback against a really good Houston Texans defense. So we'll see how the Vikings' number one draft pick a year ago goes. Jacksonville, they play Pittsburgh. That is Travis Hunter, wide receiver. That is Travis Hunter going to be the top nickelback when they go three corners. They think he's going to play 30 to 40 snaps in their Jaguar-Steeler game. That's going to be fascinating to see. Tennessee, that's Cam Ward, starting quarterback, because Will Levis is gone for the year. That's Cam Ward, whose practices have been hot and cold so far. That's Cam Ward, number one draft pick, Miami Hurricanes. He's going to go through a painful learning on the job situation. Chicago Bears. This Bears watching. Ben Johnson has not been very positive about his quarterback, Caleb Williams. In fact, he said this is like coaching a raw rookie. They're trying to change Caleb Williams from being a lifetime shotgun quarterback. He's got to play under center because they want to run the football some so they can have play action. And when he's gone under center, his ability to read defenses, his ability with his mechanics, his footwork, he's all screwed up. So Caleb Williams is going to play the Miami Dolphins, and they're going to put him under center to see how he holds up. So far, the reviews have not been very good. And then there's the Miami Dolphins situation where you got Tua, who wants to play, and now Tyreek Hill is hurt again. Got hurt yesterday. They're not saying whether it's the re-injury of the wrist that he had surgery on or whether it's something else, but there's a lot of distractions in the Miami Dolphins camp, and I think, John, you and I used the word implosion a couple weeks ago, that they seem to have an awful lot of internal problems. This might turn out to be a really wretched year in Miami that could cost some people their jobs. So those are the storylines for weekend one of preseason. That's my just brief synopsis of things I'm going to be watching. Maybe you're going to watch too. So go ahead, cherry pick names, topics, hot stories that you want to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's an interesting list up there. And you named a number of those young stars. You know, we're going to see them on the field, like Travis Hunter, I think, and Ashton Genty. And so I think this is going to be exciting, get a little glimpse of them. Thank God the Browns aren't rolling out Joe Flacco. He doesn't need to prove anything, So the guy that I want to talk about, though, is Caleb Williams. And, he went to USC, so, and I was at Oklahoma when my son was a student at Oklahoma. And so I kind of have this sort of weird connection with Caleb Williams, and I've always sort of rooted for the kid. And it was weird to me that he had so much trouble, being under center, like he had always been in the shotgun. And I just assumed that quarterbacks were reasonably trained on both. I can't imagine that would be that disruptive to him.
You got to come to the line of scrimmage. You have to read the defense under center, which is closer to a lot of the line of scrimmage than being 7 yards back shotgun, where you get a much different perspective. You got to help with the line calls. And then there's the whole mechanics of the snap, the turn, if it's a handoff, the snap, your footwork dropping back, your snap of what do I see as I'm dropping back and where are my feet and where's my arm slot, and then the snap of reading my progressions while moving. It's just different than standing back there out of a shotgun formation. It's just, there's a lot of check marks you have to go through, and Ben Johnson not happy at all. He says that Caleb Williams has just really struggled, quote, playing in traffic, which is what you're doing under center. And then you're moving in traffic. Only time will tell. But Ben Johnson says, we have to run the football. We're not going to expose him. I mean, Caleb threw for a ton of yards, but he had to throw for a ton of yards because they couldn't run it. And you can't run out of the shotgun very often. So I'm interested to see. Are they going to give up on him? No. But it might be painful. It might be a tough learning curve season because he's never done this. He did not do it at Oklahoma. And 2 years, they ran everything out of the gun at Southern Cal. And then last year, when they had the miserable season, that was all shotgun formation too. So this is, to me, it's very, very different.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, I guess for a TV viewer, we take it for granted, the progression of the things that the quarterback goes through from the moment they go in the huddle until they snap the ball. But I saw this video clip online of Caleb Williams, and he was with the other QBs, and they were just doing these drills to throw into a target. And there was like this thing with a hole, almost like the Diet Pepsi, or Pepsi can thing that they do at halftime in the Super Bowl. And Caleb Williams couldn't hit the target, and he was all over the place. And afterwards, he was like kind of whining and running and saying, he was crying about it. And I'm like, dude is mentally, in a difficult spot right now.
You hit it right on the head. I mean, there are so many layers to what that quarterback has to do. That's a big challenge.
Yeah.
So, and conversely, if you were a quarterback who played under center your entire 3 years, wherever you played, and then you come where they want you in shotgun, that's a learning curve too, because that's so different watching, and then your eyes and your movement, and then you have to read your progressions, and you don't want to telegraph what you're going to do while you're in the shotgun. John, it's not like being an accountant at a business where you're just pencil numbers in. This is much different. Okay, so that's the latest NFL preseason games, starting with 3 games on Thursday, bunch on Friday into Saturday, then on to Sunday. That's all things NFL. Now let's talk about the teams here in Southern California, because we got late breaking stories here.
I know you busted the news with me this morning. Let's get it started. Rams and Chargers.
Let's talk about the Chargers situation. You never want to hear this. You don't want to see it, and it happened. Right before noon, the Chargers lost their Pro Bowl left tackle, whom they just signed a highest paid contract ever in Rashawn Slater. They are now fearing he has a torn ACL. He was in a pass blocking 3-on-3 assignment. He got beat off the snap by Tuli Tuipulotu, the young pass rusher, planted to try to block him, and it looks as if his knee exploded and went down and stayed down. They had to put him on a cart. He just completely emotionally fell apart. Took him towards the locker room. Took 3 people to help him off the cart. He could not put any weight on his leg. This is a terrible story. He's a really fine player, really good guy. And now you might not have him. And now suddenly, and it's being reported, they fear torn ACL. That's end of season injury. Who's your left tackle? Can't be Trey Pipkins, who failed at right tackle, failed at right guard. They moved him into left guard. That hasn't quite, you can't put him out there. Who the hell is going to play left tackle? And the Chargers got another problem, because 1 game into preseason, they played in a Hall of Fame game, they waved the white flag on the idea of moving Zion Johnson from left guard into center, because Johnson's struggling in pass blocking regimen at center. So Zion Johnson's going back to left guard for their preseason game against New Orleans, and Brad Bozeman, who was a starting center last year, 32nd ranked starting center, he's got to go back to center. And all of a sudden, with a snap of 1 play, a pass rush, they lose their left tackle. They've given up on the center experiment. And all of a sudden, they're kind of like in a world of hurt. And if that's not enough, Najee Harris is nowhere near practicing. All Harris is being allowed to do now is power walk along the perimeter of the field wearing a helmet. No physical activity, no running. Obviously, he's not practiced. Does not look like he's going to be ready to start the season. And the other thing, and I guess part of me says this is cool, but part of me says, why him? Well, the Chargers re-signed Keenan Allen who's got, 940 plus receptions and an illustrious career. They brought him back. He was with the Bears last year, caught 70. He's a route runner. And my concern is, so now you got Keenan Allen, slot route runner, Ladd McConkey, the exciting young second-year guy. He's a route runner on the other slot. They do throw to their tight ends. Where's the speed guy going to line up, and who is the speed guy? It's not Keenan Allen. Can you really trust Quentin Johnston? And the two kids they drafted, Trey Harris and the other kid, Smith, drops, mistakes. All of a sudden, the Chargers at the wide receiver core, there's something weird there because you're not going to have any deep down the field threats, I think, for Justin Herbert, because you got two route runners now are going to be your top two wide receivers, and you got the tight ends you throw to, and none of those guys are deep down the field. So the Chargers, all kinds of issues. We talked about it just briefly, the Denzel Perryman situation. I made the comment last Monday, let's just give this thing some time to see what the facts were. He was apprehended, traffic stop, opened up the trunk of his SUV, found 5 firearms, including 2 AR-15s. He was held in jail for 2.5 days. No bond posted. He was held in jail. Jim Harbaugh went to visit him in jail. They never charged him. What they've done, they finally decided to release him. Now, his agent said, no charges. He's free to come back to the NFL. District attorney says, no, the case is still active. We're going to continue this investigation. Charges could still be filed against Denzel Perryman. So he's not out of this thing completely. To me, I guess the issue, and they're not talking about it specifically, the issue is, did he have permits for the AR-15 assault rifles? Because that's a felony if you don't. So that has not been resolved right now. He's out. He's with the team. I don't know if he's going to play this weekend against New Orleans. Case, though, has not been resolved. But I'm flabbergasted because I've known him. I've interviewed him. He's a good guy. I think he's a stand-up football player, stand-up citizen. But if the law says you have to register these attack rifles, these AR-15s, and he didn't, I don't know how you explain your way out of that one. So that's a bit of an issue there. That's the latest with the Chargers. The Rams, holding their breath, have not been able to sort out fact from fiction. Matthew Stafford twice went to see Dr. Robert Watkins, who's the premier neck and spine specialist who treats NFL players. They believe he's got an inflamed disc. They gave him an epidural injection this past week. He is going to attempt to throw lightly, just lightly, like you and me stand and throwing a football, to see if how his back reacts. We're now 3 weeks away from the start of the NFL season. He's never been in camp. And he never got hurt. This all came up after the OTAs because he threw in all the OTAs. He held private throwing sessions on his own with Devontae Adams, his tight ends, and with Puka Nacua. And then all of a sudden, bingo, he's got this back soreness problem that refused to go away. So the jury is still a little bit out as to whether he'll be ready to start the season. Jimmy Garoppolo has taken all the snaps. Stetson Bennett is the number 2 quarterback, and that's all they've got in the Rams camp. So if Matthew Stafford's back issue, having an epidural might solve it, but he hasn't practiced at all. If you don't have Matthew Stafford being Matthew Stafford to start the season, your season and your offense is not going to be the same. So, John, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm putting these topics on the table because we can talk about it. And Chargers, that left tackle, Rams, that quarterback, those are big stories.
Yeah, the quarterback story with the Rams is concerning. I mean, because remember we were hearing all this love from Devontae Adams when he rolled into camp and the Rams organization, and he's probably thinking, Matthew Stafford, that's my new guy, and we're going to go win a championship. And now there's no Stafford. I was just wondering, that must really kill the vibe in the locker room right now.
Well, I mean, injuries are part of the game, but that's a very different team if Matthew Stafford is not there on the field as it is if it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Stetson Bennett on the field, and they only got 3 weeks left. And even if he has limited practices, you're going to get into opening game Sunday. you can't protect him. He's going to get hit.
Yeah.
And what happens if he gets hit? So it's a tough story.
I mean, I just know when I have back trouble, you just like bump me on the arm and I'm like down on the floor. So I don't know how he'd do it. Now for the Chargers, what a terrible piece of news about Rashawn Slater. Would Joe Alt be a candidate to kind of flip to the other side, be the blind side guy?
When Slater had this nerve problem in his foot, they had to do a minor surgical procedure. He missed the beginning of camp. Alt took left tackle. But he seemed to hold up, and he did play left tackle in college. But the burning question is, so you take him at left tackle, they got no right tackle. So you got a vacancy somewhere in the front, and you got a substandard situation in the offensive center, and the offensive guard has not played like he played his first 2 years in the league. All of a sudden, they got 3 issues here in this offensive line. And you don't have your heavy-duty running back. And is there a speed guy at wide receiver that you can trust? Suddenly there's a bunch of check marks here. Say, holy cow, where'd this all come from?
How about maybe Darius Davis? Could this be his year to stand out as the speed guy on the edge?
He's a mighty might, but he's a small guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they got 3 speed guys. So we'll just have to see who's going to be the guy. Because I just don't think, as great as Keenan Allen is, and as dynamic as Ladd McConkey is, and he took a lot of hits last year, you can't have a plotting passing game. You need a terrorist that's going to run post, run sideline stuff. It's going to create havoc. And who's that going to be? Because to me, this is the last go around for Quentin Johnston. He's disappeared again in training camp. He had one workout where he caught a bunch of passes, and everybody, Quentin Johnston has grown again. And then he started dropping balls again and suddenly played.
Wow. So were they hoping that Mike Williams was going to be the speed guy if he didn't get hurt?
Yeah, big size guy. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, mismatches down the field. And then he walked away from football. I think he walked away because he's had 4 major injuries. He was tired of being hurt, and he made a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they were shocked and stunned. Luckily, Keenan Allen's out there, but Keenan Allen, he's a good player. But Keenan Allen is not deep.
No, but he's a Cal guy, right?
Yes.
So he's a Cal guy, a San Diego Charger. Well, he was in San Diego for part of that.
Oh,
time.
a long time.
Yeah, and then he was with the LA team probably for a little while.
Yes.
Okay.
And then went to Chicago last year. They asked him to take a pay cut. He said no, so they moved him.
All right.
So he's back, but all of a sudden there's a bunch of things on this checklist you're a little worried about. Okay, NFL fans, Rams, Charger fans, jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. We do sports talk the way it should be done. We put topics on the table, and then when we're done, we invite you to join us in the Fans Forum chat box. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. I'm still waiting for you to say thank you. They make you do your segment of the show out from left field where it's can't believe this, people. I don't know where you're watching. It's 109 degrees where we are in the North County in San Diego here at the Castle doing this spot. 109 degrees outside. Thank goodness I have doors and windows because my house is very comfortable because of Dixieline lumber.
Yeah, thank goodness for Dixieline. Seriously, this makes a huge difference. The quality of your doors and windows and kind of keeping that temperature just right. But what's a cool thing that Dixieline does a little bit different than just doors and windows is like, you've ever been to a house that has a really cool patio cover,
Mm-hmm.
And they got the decking out there, and then they got the kind of the roof over it. And sometimes they're just like kind of a flat, patio cover. Other times it can be pretty elegant. The lumber kind of has these cornices on it that's all kind of custom milled. The Dixieline guys, they have that. So they'll take the raw lumber and they run it through these milling machines that carve it out. So you can have those sort of curly Q things that are on the end of your patio cover. So a lot of customization of services you can get at Dixieline if you're really into woodworking or looking for that look.
It's called design.
There you go. Yeah, that's what it is.
Hey, just go to Dixieline.com, see all the things that they've got to offer. 9 locations to serve you in San Diego, 1 up in Dana Point. And of course, they've been in business for over 100 years, Dixieline Lumber. Before we go to the second half, just a reminder, if you're new to this podcast, we do sports talk the way it should be done. We put a lot of hot topics on the table. We go back and forth. And then when we're done, we give you the chance to pile in, pile on. It's called Fans Forum. Again, where do they locate it? How do they get involved? Fans Forum.
we just had a celebrity drop into Fans Forum. If you can believe the handles, I'll tell you what. So, but yeah, this is your chance if you want to get involved. If you have a question or comment in the world of sports for Hacksaw, just type it in the live chat on YouTube, X, or on Facebook, and we'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
Fans Forum coming up right at the end of this podcast. A couple of other items. You like sports? Please check my website, leehacksawhamilton.com. I write on it every day. You won't believe the volume of information. I know everything about everything, and we cover everything on my website. And join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. You can register right there to get on the email list. We send out 2 emails a day. Register on my homepage on my website. I want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll get the alerts every time we put additional stuff up on the YouTube channel, and we do that a lot. Join me on social media. Take part in Hacksaw's mini polls. Just follow me at Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Okay, we move on. Second half on a very busy Thursday, going towards a great sports weekend. We're going to talk a little hoops.
Little hoops and some kind of weird things going on with the WNBA.
Oh, please explain this. Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham. They're the reason the WNBA has become so significant on the sports radar. WNBA, LA Sparks playing the Indiana Fever the other night here in Los Angeles. The fans have really been boisterous, and there's a lot of fans going to every game. Indiana Fever averaging over 17,000 per home game, and they're selling out virtually all the other arenas around the WNBA. But everybody is not always just a fan. There's guys showing up, women showing up, they got a yap. And they think it's their right once they buy their ticket to say what they're going to say. Lesbian slurs, etc. And then they started throwing junk on the floor at the players. We had 4 incidents this week in the WNBA where fans in the stands threw, quote, sex toys at WNBA players,
Oh my God.
including Sophie Cunningham. It must be this in thing. I'm not sure where they're buying these things, but guys and women are buying green condoms and throwing them on the floor at WNBA players, in addition to the, quote, lesbian jokes, lesbian slurs. The Phoenix Mercury just arrested a fan who did it the other night. He's been charged with disorderly conduct, and they're going to drag him into court. Why in the world would you do this? Why do you target Caitlin Clark on the court? Why is there this rigmarole against Sophie Cunningham, who's become really a voice on behalf of the WNBA players and negotiations with a collective bargaining agreement? I don't understand it. You got a right to buy a ticket. You got a right to cheer. You can boo.
Yeah.
But, John, you're not throwing sex toys at Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, are you?
No.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, why are they throwing anything on the court? I mean, that's the thing that we should be objecting at the highest principle.
Yeah. Is this going to end? I don't know. It's gotten worse and worse. The conduct of the fans in the aftermath of all the physical confrontations against Caitlin Clark, it just seems so misdirected, because she, more than anybody else, has made such a difference in the arrival
of the
WNBA.
But, just as an aside, isn't it interesting how in some sports, fans throwing things onto the playing surface is awful, terrible, potentially dangerous. But then we see hat tricks, people throwing hats out there, and the people throwing the rats into the Florida Panthers
and the
ice
octopus rink at the Red Wings games. Yes.
Yeah, so it's interesting, like almost a little bit of a double standard. But obviously, this is ridiculous. In the middle of a NBA game, I mean, you don't want any foreign object. You stand on that. I don't care what kind of weird thing it is. I mean, they take you out. It'd be injury you for the year.
Yeah, concur. So we'll see what the WNBA can do to tone the act down of the fans sitting behind the stanchion at the end zone seats in some of these WNBA games. Other stories, a really weird story. Miami Heat, the director of security, arrested, indicted by the FBI, stole over $2 million of equipment, jerseys, and memorabilia from Miami Heat, and was selling it up on eBay. And this guy is a retired police officer who'd worked for the Miami Heat. This guy got caught hauling all the stuff out all hours of the night from the arena, had access to the arena, and nobody understood where the stuff was going, why it was missing. Then they find out this guy was selling stuff on eBay. Amazing story.
It reminds me of, remember Ruben Rivera for the Padres?
Yeah.
and he used to be with the Yankees, and Mariano Rivera was his cousin or something, and he was stealing stuff out of his locker and then selling it on the market. It's just some of these, you wonder, people get in crazy situations, they get desperate, they make a couple of bad moves, the next thing you know, there's got $2 million worth of stuff that you've accrued.
This guy had access to the facilities because he was director of security.
Yeah, it's like the Fox Garden, the hen house.
Talking about insider information.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, feel free. You're a basketball fan. Sex toys? You're throwing sex toys on the court against the Indiana Fever players? Please. We go from that topic on the table. Let's talk a little hockey.
A little hockey on the board, yeah. So let's go. It's the USOC. We lost a great one.
Yeah, let's talk about this. This goes way back. Did you ever see the movie Miracle on Ice?
Yeah.
About Team USA?
Kurt Russell.
Gold medal, the Olympics, 1980. The gentleman that triggered the success of Team USA's hockey program has just passed away. His name was Robert Fleming. He's 97 years of age. He was an industrialist and a banker based out of Minnesota. He was the president of USA Hockey for a long time. He's in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. Should be in the NHL Hall of Fame, too. Robert Fleming is the one who hired Herb Brooks, who created a lot of dissension and a lot of tension about his method of operation. But this is after Team USA had been smoked by the Russians years and years and years in international global competition. Robert Fleming passed away at the age of 97. He gave Brooks the chance. He's the one that stood up with Brooks in the meetings and said, let this man coach, because he had already won NCAA championships at the University of Minnesota. Let him put together a different type of squad. And he merged. He allowed Herb Brooks to merge all the hockey players from Minnesota, Duluth, Wisconsin, University of Michigan, Boston College, Boston University, brought them all together. If you've never seen the movie, go find it on Netflix. Miracle on Ice, spectacular. But anyhow, this guy was so influential in the arrival, the building, and the success that USA Hockey had in 1980 at Lake Placid. Miracle on Ice, Robert Fleming. Really nice guy. That's a name you don't think of people behind the scenes, but he was the catalyst that allowed Brooks to come, and Brooks to bring Jim Craig, the goaltender, and Brooks to bring Eruzione and all those other guys there.
I'm interested in asking you about this because you're an old-time hockey broadcaster. Were you broadcasting hockey in 1980?
Yeah.
You were? Okay. So, because I'm thinking, like, in 1980, I was 15 years old, and I knew it was a big deal that Team USA beat Team
Russia.
Was it Russia or
Yes.
USSR?
Well, USSR.
Okay. And so I understood the magnitude of it. These college kids beat the best team on the planet, so-called. But I would imagine from your perspective, working, as you did growing up broadcasting hockey, that it meant something much different to the hockey community than maybe to the average fan.
We had won a medal in the Olympics in 1960. I don't know how that happened, but it did. With Team USA at that time. I think the Olympics that year might have been in Cortina, Italy. And from 1960 on, the Soviet Union changed everything. And you were constricted if you were a hockey star, and you were going to be employed by the army in Russia, but you were there to play hockey. And they brought in all the greatest players in Russia, and they were conscripted to be in the military. And that's all you did was train and play hockey. And then they became a global power. And they just destroyed the competition because, quote, everybody was an amateur. Well, in the USSR, they were not amateurs. They were paid, quote, soldiers who played hockey. So to see that happen from 1960 on up until we got to 1980, and then to have this one-time happenstance occur, just stunning.
Well, how much later on, if you roll the calendar back, did we allow Russian hockey players into the NHL?
They did not come until the 70s or 80s. I was right in the middle. I was doing World Hockey Association at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when players fled Russia, Czechoslovakia, and the Iron Curtain countries, all in the middle of the night to get here. Some came to the Detroit Red Wings. A bunch came to the World Hockey Association where I was working. And they were the first ones off the boat. And they left families behind to flee in the middle of the night so they could pursue their careers in the NHL. It was a drip, 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 but more and more players came, and then they finally opened up the gates, and then they negotiated with the Russian Hockey Federation an exchange program where players could come here and play and would not be sanctioned and could go home in the off season. Took forever, but it was in the mid 70s, I think, where it really started. In Detroit had a corner on European players. They were one of the first ones that really recruited European guys. And then what happened was that not only did the Russians come, then the Scandinavian players said, that's where the money is. I'm going to leave my country. And they came from Sweden and Finland. And then they just came in droves, to the point now we got so many great international global players. It's spectacular. It's changed the whole game of the NHL.
You know, the way you were describing, you know, they weren't allowed, then drip, 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 more came, and a lot of them left in the middle of the night. It just reminds me of baseball players from Cuba.
Exactly.
And they were escaping, and then eventually the Major League Baseball, the Cuban government, they worked something out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly. So that's the latest story there. Hockey, Robert Fleming, a name behind the scenes nobody knows, but a man that had great input in the arrival of Herb Brooks, who was a pretty hard nut to deal with. Okay, we go from that. Last topic on the table before we get to Fans Forum and everybody who's got opinions. We're going to talk a little hot headlines, late breaking stories.
Yeah, we will. And let's go to the SportsWire. Kick it off with a little bit of soccer here, Lee.
Yeah, I'm a little stunned at this story. We're talking about the Philadelphia Union. They're in the MLS soccer. They just signed the guy who was a red-hot goal scorer for SDFC. You know the story of at midseason, San Diego Football Club got Milan Ilaski on loan from their Danish club, but they didn't get him for the whole season. And Ilavsky, who's from Escondido, scored 10 goals just like that. And just like that, he was gone because his contract expired, and SDFC could not come to a financial agreement with the player on an extension and on the club to continue to have access to him. He supposedly was going back to his Danish side, and instead the Philadelphia Union of MLS stepped in and just signed him. They worked a deal through the Danish club to get access to the rights, and they've signed him. He's a really good player. Philadelphia is the best team in the MLS East. SDFC is kind of holding on for dear life right now because they've lost players, injuries, goal scorers, and losing Ilavsky. They're still in first place in the MLS West. So that's kind of disappointing. Second one is just, I'll throw this out. John and I have talked a lot of soccer on this podcast. One of the real gripes the players have is that FIFA has been so unfair to the players by scheduling all these additional tournaments, including league play, that there's no downtime for players to rest or get healthy. You know, we just came through this Club World Cup situation here in the States, which didn't go off very well. Those guys left here and went back, and within 5 days had to go back to training camp for the upcoming English Premier League season, or Serie A in Italy, or La Liga in Spain. Here's a prime example of what's wrong. MLS just scheduled this, it's called the League Cup, where MLS teams play teams from the Mexican Liga. Right? Additional games on the schedule.
Yeah, that's going on right now.
Yeah. SDFC was forced to play 3 games in 8 days. 3 games in 8 days. There's no recovery time for those soccer players. And SDFC has got so many guys hurt and guys who had left to go play for their international club. To me, the whole thing is so out of control. What they really need is they need a union with teeth, and they don't have it. They don't have it right now. But think about that. SDFC expansion team successful, starting to fade right now because they got some people. 3 games in 8 days. That's absurd. It's all a money grab. It's wrong. So we got that. Last topic on the table, ESPN, NFL. How about this trade? ESPN acquires the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, and NFL Fantasy Football Leagues. Wow. In exchange for 10% ownership. NFL is now going to be part owner of ESPN. So ESPN will take over distribution and the whole packaging of everything about the NFL Network. That means Stephen A. Smith's going to be yelling at you.
He likes to talk about the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. So this was a mega industrial deal. And it was interesting. This story just broke days after Fox worked a deal to become 30% owner of IndyCar racing and got all the rights to the Indy 500, run the operation of the speedway, etc. So obviously the media networks are now jumping on board to become part owners of franchises and leagues. I don't know where baseball's going to go next. Baseball desperately needs something new to help them with their own media rights crisis because of the collapse of the regional sports network. So now I'm telling you right now, I don't want to hear any whining on this podcast about you and Stephen A. Smith when he becomes an integral part of all things NFL Network.
It's interesting. I think it's a good thing, because the NFL, you kind of contract out, the broadcasting to, in this case, Disney, who owns ESPN. But now the NFL will have greater control over the content that's going out. And I see that can only really, in terms of promoting the sport, I think they're going to do a better job. Now, they're probably going to be careful. They're not going to be real journalists covering this because they're only going to be, taking the company line.
But you got to give people freedom to cover the story. The story is the story. We should not have NFL interference if ESPN is going to break a story about gambling or
because they would have the inside information. Oh, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
So we need a separation of like football and the state or something.
Separation of state and power.
Yeah, exactly. The interesting thing though about that Orlovsky deal, he was fantastic when he was here, and good on him. He's landed somewhere. But this whole, I'm still learning about all this soccer stuff. This whole transfer player loan thing.
Yeah, and windows. In the middle of the season, you got windows where guys can be transferred, or guys can be moved from one team in the English Premier League to another team in the English Premier League. And the amount of money. There was a deal made today. It's $183 million for a player to be transferred from one team to another team in the EPL. And there's multiple windows. There's a summer window in between seasons, and there's another window during the season. It's absolutely stunning. Well, their rules are very different than our rules.
It just makes me wonder, whose interests are being served, when you trade a player. Maybe, in the case of Orlovsky, he was playing in, you say it was Denmark or something like that. Was he like maybe a guy that just needed more minutes, but he was skilled and they wanted him to get in a place. So it's almost like getting demoted to AAA. And
he got loaned.
Yeah, but just for a period of time so he can get his reps in. Is that the rationale, the thinking?
Yeah, but the superstar transfer agreements are mega money. I mean, like $183 million. Newcastle and somebody else was doing a deal as I was leaving home to come here today.
Well, do they not do trades? Do they just do this sort of loan?
It's transfer window. Yeah.
Transfer window.
It's not player for player.
Okay.
It's not your baseball trading deadline.
Yeah.
Now we could send AJ Preller over there and he'd tell him how it should be done.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. Right on. That's just it. It's interesting to learn about a new sport.
Okay. Those are all the hot topics on the table because we do sports talk the way it should be done. It's your turn now to join us. Here comes the Fans Forum chat box. Pile in so you can pile on one of us. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got ideas, they got materials. You want help, they could be your best friend and your consultant. Go to Dixieline.com. Find out all the things they have to offer. We're about to start our 300th podcast together. Can you believe that we've been together and we haven't killed each other yet for 300 podcasts? But
this is 299.
Yeah, we thank you for being part of this whole thing. Okay, John, where do you want to go? We got a ton of topics here. Go ahead.
Okay, well, we have a celebrity here that's in the house, and I want to get him involved. And I'm trusting this is really him. And this is from Eric Grupner, the CEO president of the Padres. He goes, Hacksaw, just noticed you on here. I wanted to thank you for your outstanding courage year round. Cheers to you. But he has a question. And he says, my question, I've heard you criticize ticket price increases, but I wanted to ask if you knew that the city is charging us much more in maintenance fees, which is the reason for the ticket increase.
He must have read my one man's opinion column, because I wrote that column about Padre ticket prices. They've raised their prices 7% for next year. Since 2022, I believe they raised their ticket prices 57% in 5 years, which is astronomical. Yes, I do understand about maintenance, and you don't want it. The one thing the Padres have done a great job is stayed away from deferred maintenance, which means you let it sit and it falls apart. They've done a good job there. But at the end of the day, even though you're selling out 49, 50 home games with the Red Sox coming in tomorrow, how much higher can you go? And I was taken back by the massive attempt the massive amount of money that you've increased all the ticket prices, plus the parking, plus the concessions, plus the gift shop. And baseball has record attendance, record TV revenue, and record TV ratings. I do understand the mess with the regional network, but how much more can you go? I mean, these are expensive nights out you're asking these fans to pay for on a continual basis. There's also an ideology out there, though, Eric. It's the same thing with the Lakers. It's the same thing with the Rams and the Chargers. It's the same thing everywhere in sports. I just worry about, man, these people, they're getting tapped out financially.
Well, they're not saying they're tapped out. They keep showing up. I mean, they've sold out like 90% of the games this year. Mm-hmm. I know they sell season tickets up to a cap. I don't know, is it like 10,000 season tickets or something like that? And they keep hitting the cap. So you've got excessive demand, you have limited supply. This is economics 101. Prices go up. But the good news is that, for the most part, they're plowing it back into the team. I mean, we're still paying big money for Darvish and for Tatis and Machado and all of our stars. Hey, it's hella better than it was, in the Chris Denorfia days.
Yep.
So I get why they're raising the prices, but then as a fan, we have the option to say yeah or no. And I still think they'll keep selling out.
They are, as long as the product continues to be good. Yes. And they've done a good job. The unique thing, nobody pays any attention to what they've done, and I think this is probably Eric Grupner's fault. Nobody pays any attention to the creative stuff that the Padres have done outside of just the game and the game presentation. All these off-season events. I mean, you're going to be a redneck. You're going to watch that rodeo and that other stuff that's going to be at Petco Park in the off-season, right?
Stuff.
Yeah. I mean, all the stuff, the creative stuff that they've done for the non-baseball events is kind of unique. And then, the creation of Gallagher Square. Oh, yeah. Cool that is. So congratulations for creative genius, ancillary revenue streams. But at the end of the day, the prices are still, to me, they're really high.
Well, we've often talked about the Dodgers and their payroll, but they're the king of ancillary, revenue streams. I mean, this is how the world is now.
Right.
So it's great, really, if you think about it, outside the world of sports, kind of more culturally, if you got a year-round
venue,
that can present a lot of great concerts there, and it's not just Billy Joel and Paul McCartney, but they've got a lot of Latino bands that are there, especially in Gallagher Square, rather than the big mega concert. But they're what about that golf thing, where they're teeing off like from the upper deck into these targets. They find ways to make it a year-round facility, and so then they have an incentive for the upkeep. To me, it's good, and they're a business and they're trying to maximize revenue. So let them maximize revenue, and then we can sign big free agents and we can pay our guys.
So you're gonna wear a hat when you go to the rodeo?
They were getting some heat from some local groups, maybe it was the local version of PETA, about animal abuse. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they're doing that, but that's a sticky subject.
All I know is ticket prices. That's fine. That's your way of doing business. We do want to be in the owner's box during a World Series game if you're going to charge us all this money. But Padres have done what Padre baseball has become, destination point in the community. It means so much emotionally in the community. And I told these guys way back, the first time I ever met the late Peter Seidler, I was with him at his first press conference, he and Ron Fowler, and we stood there and he knew who I was. And I said, you guys are sitting on a gold mine. I said, if you can put this thing and make this thing really good, you're sitting on a gold mine, because everybody loves a winner. You make this a winner, you will get all these fans here. And by the way, all these people have been deported from Boston and Pittsburgh and Chicago. They're coming anyhow to root for their team. So you won't have enough seats in the yard. And obviously, look what they're going to probably bust through 3.4 million, which is amazing. And for every I was told, every series that they play in postseason is like another $1 million payday to the home club. So if they go deep into this postseason, beat the damn Dodgers, would you please? Win the National League Championship Series. I mean, there's more money coming in the front door there too. So they've done a good job. But I'm just standing up on behalf of the fans. That's why I wrote that column. Thank you for following. Eric, great to have you on board.
Okay, let's keep on moving. We'll go here to Casey. And he says, hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, right now, if you have to say who you think is the best team in the National League overall going down the stretch.
At one point, I'd say 3 weeks ago, I said, boy, the Cubs have really come together. At one point, I was saying Jed Hoyer, Executive of the Year. But now, based on what Preller has just done, all these transactions, he has made the Padres a very scary team. Now, you still have to win it. We can't have 24 consecutive scoreless innings like we did at the end last season against the Dodgers. Milwaukee is really good. How they're doing it with a lot of homegrown players. I mean, outside of Milwaukee's Christian Yelich, do you recognize hardly anybody there? Now, Jackson Churio, he's one of their own guys. So, I mean, keep that in mind. Milwaukee is doing with home grain. Philadelphia is very dangerous, especially if they get the home field advantage in the playoffs. And Philadelphia is where they are, and they're doing it without one of their cornerstone starting pitchers, Aaron Nola, who is on rehab and is just starting his road back, and he could be back within 2 weeks. But boy, their pitching staff starting rotation is really, really deep. And now they got this flamethrower that throws smoke, who came from the Minnesota Twins, Duran. So National League is going to be really interesting. You notice I didn't say anything about the Mets and Mr. Me, Myself, and I, Juan Soto. And the Mets just don't have enough pitching, I don't think. And Soto is hitting all of 243, all that money, 243 with an odd home run here or there. So that hadn't been a perfect fit. And Polar Bear, Pete Alonso's kind of cooled off a little bit. His batting average at one point was in the 330s. It's down into the 250s right now. So I just don't think the Mets are elite. So playoffs going to be fun. Take no prisoner. But boy, right now the Padres are right there. And as I wrote in a column earlier this week, by Sunday night, Padres could be in first place. Think about that, coming from 9 back. Now, I'm not trying to throw gasoline and set a fire on Dodger fan, but I'm just covering the story with the facts I have, and my opinion, pretty important. Oh, go ahead.
When we think about where we were in March, talking about what we thought was going to happen, we thought the Dodgers, like I was joking, they were going to finish 150-12. We thought they were going to have that dominant of a year. And now we're asking this question of who's the most, the toughest team down the stretch, and who would have thunk it was possible, and the scrappy Padres are right there. The Dodgers, of course, are right there, and we always knew it was going to be like the Phillies, the Mets, and the Braves, 2 of the 3 we figured. And
Atlanta
sort of there.
Atlanta was destroyed by injuries, never got out of spring training. Arizona, we thought was going to be something in the National League West, but they lost all those pitchers at the front end of the season, and Zach Gallen hasn't been Zach Gallen, and now they waved the white flag, and the first baseman and third baseman are playing up in Seattle. And the San Francisco had that spurt where they played well, but then, it all kind of went away from them. They've never really been the same team since the Ralph Devers trade, which is kind of weird because I thought he'd go there and he'd do a lot of things. But that's why I play 162 games. But boy, the way the Padres are positioned, and I'm not saying the Dodgers are going to fall over and die, because if the Dodgers get all these guys back healthy for the final month and a half of the season, I'm talking the Snells, and there's no setback with Glass now. What they got with Yamamoto, the Dodgers are going to be dangerous, but they're not a complete team. Their back end of the bullpen that's terrible, what I've seen.
Just terrible.
Terrible. Speaking of terrible, did you check the out-of-town scoreboard this week? Did you check what the hell happened in Colorado? Rockies, Toronto went in there and beat them 3 straight. Scored 54 runs in 3 games.
Toronto did?
Toronto.
Jeez, well, Guerrero must have went off.
Everybody went off because Colorado's got no pitching. No pitching. Let me pull this number up at you. This happened over the last 3 games. I got to find it here. It's in my bad notes. I've got terrible handwriting right now. But so they play the Blue Jays at Coors Canaveral, and they get lit. Rockies gave up. Let me find this here. They gave up 45 runs and 63 hits in 3 losses. They have lost home games this season now, 21-0, 20-1 yesterday, and 18-0. I've never seen anything like this. These guys, this pitching staff is worse than the Blight Sox of last year.
Wow.
Poor Colorado, those poor fans up there. That's misery. And they threw Padre catcher Austin Nola. They had him come in and pitch at the end of the game.
He pitched.
Not very well either. I think he gave up 12 runs. He just left them out there. It was like batting practice. It was just an embarrassment.
I mean, have the Rockies ever had a Cy Young Award winner? I don't think so.
No, but we did have a no-hitter once upon a time. Nomo. Was it Nomo threw a no-hitter up there at Coors Canaveral? But I've never seen anything as dismal as what Rockies baseball's become. I think their record is, it's 30-84 right now. I think they're going to beat the White Sox record for losses.
Brutal.
Just terrible.
That's awful.
Okay, next one. Move on. Thank you.
Okay, this is kind of a follow-up on a comment I made earlier, and this is from Gary. He says, hey, the Dodgers did okay at the trade deadline, but by not doing more, they are essentially conceding the NL West to the San Diego Padres. The Dodgers are relying on better health to get through October.
So they think October 5th, everything will be fine. But I don't buy that because I think the bullpen is just threadbare. And when you got so many starters that aren't going deep into games, and Padres got that similar problem, but the Padres got the six-pack in the bullpen. Dodgers, injuries have had a lot to do with it. If Blake Snell can be vintage best Blake Snell we've seen, and you got Glass now and he has no more setbacks because they think they've figured out his mechanics, and you got Yamamoto, and now you go to Ohtani 4 or 5 innings deep, dominating. Damn, that's a good starting rotation. But when you turn the ball over the bullpen, look what happens. I mean, here's Ohtani was blazing. He was at 100 miles an hour yesterday. Max effort, 4 innings. Take him out. Had the lead. Bullpen gave it up. Game before that, Glass now struck out 12. Took him out. Bullpen gave it up. Snell pitched well. Gave up 2 Chinese home runs down in Tampa Bay. Bullpen gave it up. 17 blown saves. That sure doesn't look like a World Series team to me. You got to be able to have people you can trust in the back end of the bullpen, and I don't see it. And the relief corps all been on the DL too.
You know what's interesting is you look at the season series between the Padres and the Dodgers. I think they've played 7 games, and I think the Dodgers have won 5, and the Padres are in 2. But there's 6 games to go. I mean, it's possible. I mean, if the Dodgers decline like this, I mean, they could lose that overall series.
What shocks me is they had the resources to make a significant deal. They got so many kid pitchers. They've got 3 or 4 outfielders and infielders at AA that everybody wants. You take one pitcher or you take one of those young outfielders and use them at cornerstone to go rent one of those veteran relievers. Now, Clase was supposed to be the guy till he got himself removed from the Cleveland roster. But there are still other closers out there. But for some odd reason, the Dodgers just elected. They did not want to deal any of those kids at AAA. Not Bobby Miller, not Emmett Sheehan. Why not? You're so close to being so dominant, and you got so many other guys stacked there at Oklahoma City and down at AA. And they got so many kids at AA. They've got 3 outfielders everybody wants.
Well, don't you think that if the Dodgers signed Mason Miller, that would be such a Dodgers thing to do? Mm-hmm. It just seemed like the perfect thing to do.
Sure.
Not only are you getting a closer, but of course the Dodgers get the sexy name, the guy that everybody wants, and they've got the capital to pay for it. And why didn't they do that?
I concur. Never got an explanation with the exception of Brandon Gomes, the general manager, who speaks for Andrew Friedman. We trust our veterans that they will rally us back. Okay, that's where we are.
Oh, I don't know about Mookie.
We got to Sunday night. And the Padres are in first place. What are you going to say then?
Okay, here we go. A little smack talking going on. Okay, talking about Padre Dodgers. This is a 2-parter from Flegel. And he goes, hey, I like the Padres Dodgers battle. I love the Tony Gwynn Padres, and now I love to hate the Machado Padres. And then he goes on to say, hey, do you agree it's been the Dodgers division to give away, and they've tried their best to do that?
Well, it's not give it away. They got so many bloody people hurt. They've had 20 pitchers on the disabled list. There's clubs that don't have 20 pitchers, period. And they've had 20 different arms on the DL with a wide variety of injuries. But a lot of these guys have now rallied back. I mean, Kershaw, he's given you 5 to 6 quality innings. His ERA, get this. I mean, he's 37? His ERA is like 3.20. He's got a 5-2 record. And it's coming off double surgery. And now you got Glass now back, and you got Snell back, and you got Ohtani, who's knocking at the door to be what Ohtani was, even though it's one day a week. They're going to go 6-man rotation. I mean, their starting rotation is going to be superb, but boy, they are so deficient in the bullpen right now.
I've noticed that when we have a glass that's half full, if it's a Dodger glass, it's full. And if it's a Padre glass, it's empty.
Until you do it. That's the thing that changes the whole tone of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm on social media. Dodger fans just bang on me. To which I say, great, thanks for following. But at the end of the day, until you do it, had they done it last year and not given away, quote, choked away the playoffs when they were up 2-1 facing a bullpen day.
Don't keep bringing that up.
I just can't get that out of my head. So, Dodger fan, he's got it right. I mean, they got, see my ring? They got the ring.
Yeah, they got, the minute the Padres get one ring, they're going to go, yeah, we got 6 or whatever it is.
Exactly. But they also got, 11 division titles. Have the Padres won any division titles yet?
Dodgers.
Here we go. But we're going to be here talking about it, whether you like it or dislike it, agree or disagree, doesn't matter.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's talk some football with Manny. He goes, hey, Lee, I'm planning on attending my first NFL game this season. Should I go see the Chargers or Rams?
Oh, I doesn't matter. It's going to cost you a lot of money. SoFi's great. At the end of the day, the story about the Chargers, what broke today just before noon, that's a setback. If indeed Rashawn Slater has torn his knee ligament in a routine pass blocking drill, that's catastrophic, because now suddenly the Chargers aren't the same up front. Because I thought that offensive front was really going to be a cornerstone to protect what I think is a really great quarterback. And the Rams, if Stafford can be Stafford with that Rams defense, they're really good. I mean, they were not that far away from being a Super Bowl team. In the cold weather, in the snow, they almost beat the Eagles at the end. Had that happened, they would have been in the Super Bowl again under Sean McVay. So either or, it's kind of a cool experience. The question is, do you like the AFC, or are you an old style NFC guy? So you'll have fun regardless.
Yeah, it's not like they're in different stadiums. You get a different experience. They just hit a button and all the colors change, from blue and yellow to yellow and blue, I guess.
Yeah, make sure you bring your credit card, though.
Yeah. I know. I'm thinking about that. If it were me, I've never been to SoFi, but if it were me, I'd go to a Rams game because I don't want to give any money to Spanos. I'm still bitter.
You're using that word, talking to me. You did read my column about.
Oh, yeah.
When I came here and tried to practice.
Yeah.
And all that. I got a lot of response to that column.
Yeah, you did.
Not everybody agreed.
But it's personal for you.
Well, the whole thing's personal, and I represent the fans. 55 years of loyalty.
Yeah,
of course, it's damn personal.
Okay. All right, let's keep on going. And let's see, who do we got here? Oh, this is an interesting one from Greg. And he says, hey, Lee and John, the Seattle Mariners have made some good additions at the deadline, and Jerry Dipoto needs to be congratulated. The Mariners can actually unseat the Astros in the AL West. Thoughts?
They always had good pitching. I mean, they were 6 deep in the rotation, and then they got dinged a little bit. This is the first time in all those years those kid pitchers got hurt. I kept using the phrase, your pitching staff is never the same from year to year because of the wear and tear factor. And Kirby and those kids, 3 of the 5 wound up on the DL at some point, but they're all back now. And they were just deficient in the batting order. And you had everybody pitching around Julio Rodriguez. And now all of a sudden you get Suarez and Naylor as short-term rentals. Holy cow. They're hitting home runs all over the place. So they're going crazy in Seattle. And Houston's kind of hit a wall. Houston's had a lot of injuries to their pitching staff too. I was surprised at the Correa trade, although Minnesota paid a lot of money of that contract. I don't know how much gas Correa's got, but you got Altuve. And for Houston to be where they are post Bregman and post Kyle Tucker, that really surprised me too. But Dana Brown's done a good job, and they got a lot of young players there. They got a lot of young pitchers. I don't know if they have the depth of pitching Seattle's got. So if you're asking me, I think Seattle's going to win the division and probably slug their way to the division. And we'll see how far they go in postseason play. Although at this point, I don't think there's a hell of a lot of great teams in some of these other divisions in the American League.
Yeah, we haven't had a great Seattle Mariners season in a long time.
Well, the Ichiro 116 win season.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a long time ago.
I have this vision in my head of a video of a play at home plate when they beat the Yankees or something like that. Does that ring a bell? No, but maybe, I don't know. I remember they didn't go all the way. I didn't even make it to the World Series that year. But
they got knocked out in the first round, I think.
I think, yeah. So, I mean, the Mariners and the Padres are like similar. They're cities that are overdue for a championship. And generally speaking, the Mariners are trending up and the Astros are going down.
Astros kind of hit a wall. They're not quite playing as well as they were too. The Cubs are not playing quite as well as they were playing early. And Milwaukee's just, I can't believe Milwaukee's like 25 games over 500. How is that possible?
And Jackson Churio's out, right?
Well, for a minor hamstring.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
Okay, we move on.
Okay, let's move on here. And this is an interesting one. This is from Callan. Good afternoon, gents. Saw the end of this season. Feels like it could be like the ending of the 1996 season with the Padres and Dodgers. What do you remember most about that ending? Love the show as always.
Was that the Gwynn victory over the Dodgers, where Chris Gwynn had the big hit that kind of, see ya? Yeah. The Padres, to be honest with you, I was so swamped doing sports talk and being the voice of the Chargers and USC. I mean, I was working 9 days a week. I mean, I obviously followed it. I mean, what we saw when the Padres got to 2 World Series, was it 94 and 98? That was pretty impressive, but they did not have enough players to be able to compete against the Yankees, et cetera. But, Padres in the Gwynn era gave us some really good baseball, and some of the rentals, the acquisitions that they made in the John Moore's era, the Kevin Browns of the world for short windows. Boy, those guys were dominant. They were really good. So, and we went through different managers, and Bochy was here, and they had some success there, but they never quite got over the hump in terms of postseason play. But anything that's wrapped around Tony Gwynn is a really pleasant memory for me.
Yeah, it was cool. There was Chris Gwynn, they got the hit, but there is a Charger football connection to this story. We've talked about this once. So during the Chargers game, I think they were playing the Chiefs or something like that, and everyone in the stadium had 2 transistor radios. They were listening to you in one, and in the other one, they were listening to Jerry Coleman, because it was that game.
And it was I heard his, oh.
Yeah, and apparently Stan Humphries, I think, fumbled the snap, because there was this cheer at this really odd moment in the game. But it was a great moment for San Diego, and, it was nice that they could follow it up a couple of years later and get even deeper.
Yeah, but then they ran into the buzzsaw, though. There was the Yankees, and Tony Gwynn was such a historical freak as it relates to his love of the game. And I remember asking him one time in the clubhouse just about, what does it mean? He says, God, to go play where Ruth played and go where the Monument Park is. And then he hit a home run there too. But of course they also got swept out real quick.
I'm still angry about that Mark Langston curveball.
Yeah.
That was called a ball.
Didn't the Yankees beat him 4 straight?
Oh yeah. It was they got smoked. And then, in 84, it was the Tigers 4 out of 5. Mm-hmm. The Padres, when they make it there, they end up facing a world beater.
No, postseason's really, really tough. But that Kevin Brown led Padres team that Towers and those guys put together, that was the catalyst for what would become Petco Park. When you win, build it, they came.
Well, thank God they did. I mean, but remember one of those playoff games, I think it was Kevin Brown was against Randy Johnson when he was pitching for the Astros, I think. And that was crazy, that game. I think they both threw complete games or something close to that.
Yeah, a lot of Warriors on that team. The Greg Vaughn era, the Ken Caminetti issue. Those were special guys for a short period of time in San Diego. It's cool. Okay, thank you for the comments, Calvin.
Okay, and there's all kinds of other comments here. Let's go here to the 2RR. Hey, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, hello. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Yes, the Dodgers can hit the long ball. Yes, the Dodgers have better players at some positions, but overall, the Padres are better.
Well, the Padres are stronger in certain areas. I mean, I'm not going to do a whole breakdown now. We'll wait till Monday if the Padres are in first place. Then we'll talk more extensively about matchups, but at the end of the day, the Dodgers have an elite starting rotation, and the Padres have gold in their bullpen. I don't know whether we should start calling them, take the name that was 4 horsemen and call them the Fab Five, or call them a 6-pack. I mean, that bullpen is elite. And then obviously we have stars, they have stars, etc. So it's just going to be fun. And the fact that they play each other 6 more times starting on August 15th, that's what this whole thing is about. And this rivalry has really become special.
Yeah, so it is interesting. I think now Dodger fan is starting to accept the fact that it's a rivalry. I mean, for the longest time, say, yeah, Padres, shoo, fly. I don't want you near me.
Little brother.
Yeah, little brother. And now, I mean, they're facing the reality that it's coming down to this. And Dodger fan knows that pitching can't be counted on. They know that Mookie is like Fernando Tatis, is not playing to normal standards. So yeah, Dodger fans should be a little worried.
We'll see what the weekend brings. These games are phenomenal. I mean, the Padres Red Sox, that's really almost like pennant race baseball. And Toronto is as hot as anybody. On the other side, and they're coming in and played the Dodgers. I was on a show in Toronto last night, and they asked me what I thought. I said, Blue Jays could send a global message because nobody's paying attention to Toronto, and yet Guerrero and Bo Bichette and those guys are just hammering the ball. And Toronto's got really steady pitching. There's no Cy Young Award winners in that rotation, but those are all really good pitchers. I said the Jays could send a global message. They could conceivably beat the Dodgers 3 straight because LA is really struggling. How about that?
Yeah, that Kevin Gausman is good. He was with the Giants.
He's rock solid.
Yeah, he's really good. So, yeah, I mean, for the longest time, we thought that the Blue Jays over the last 5 years or so could be one of those teams, and they always seem to fall below expectations.
They fell apart last year. I mean, Vlad Guerrero did not have a really good season. Bo Bichette had a miserable season. Now, Bichette he's got to be hitting 280 with a ton of home runs, and Vlad is pounding it ever since he's got his contract, and even George Springer is hitting home runs. So this will be fun. Great weekend. Holy cow. Great weekend, Petco. Great weekend, Chavez Ravine.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Here's a little bit of a similar question, but it kind of expanded to the scope of this from Carlos. And he says, so you think San Diego has a better roster than the Dodgers and the Clippers have a better roster than the Lakers? You are wrong on both counts. Now you're going to say the Chargers have a better roster than the Rams.
Well, as of this hour, the Chargers got a real problem with what just happened today before noon at left tackle. That is a major problem. But then again, if this Matthew Stafford back situation post meeting with the spinal doctor and the epidurals doesn't work, then the Rams are not the same team either. This guy's just in grudge mode. That's all there is. I mean, on paper, Clippers look like a better team. Now we'll see what the Lakers are like because Doncic looks like a very different person since the last time we saw him. And obviously, you got Austin Reeves, and they think they're going to be a little bit different defensively with what they did with what they could do. And the Clippers got one chance. Clippers have a very old basketball team, but boy, the Clippers have got proven commodities at 5 positions, plus a bunch of young guys who can run up and down the floor coming off the bench. I think it's going to be really interesting to see Clippers versus Lakers. This guy does not want me to express an opinion.
Do you ever sense that like LA sports fan, especially the long timer guys, that for them it's Lakers Dodgers. Those are or Dodgers Lakers. Those are the two. And even if they were around back, during the Pat Hayden Rams days, or even before that, Deacon Jones, when the Rams left and then came back, they seemed to not be in the same level of fandom, at least to me. So it's like those old time LA guys and fans. It's Dodgers, Lakers. And then the Clippers and the Padres are little San Diego, and the Angels and the Ducks are, that little Orange County, but it's Dodgers, Lakers.
True. But the Rams under Kroenke did get to a Super Bowl.
They did.
Keep that in mind. And they almost got to another one last year. That's a good organization. It's really drafted well, signed free agents, and they're really bold. Emotionally, they're on the edge in terms of player acquisitions. Whether you're going to ever take that T-shirt that you have in your drawer, the one that says F those draft picks, ever going to wear that again. But they've done business a whole bunch of different ways, and now they're in this mode of we're drafting and we're developing. That Rams defense is really, really good.
Well, think if Matthew Stafford, let's just say hypothetically, he can't play at all this year. What do? You're going to start Jimmy G, or are they going to?
No, you live off your defense, going to run the football, and Garoppolo can throw the ball. Can you keep him on the field because he's always gotten hurt? But let's wait and see what the next 3 weeks bring. I'm not saying that Stafford can't play. We just don't know. I mean, the fact that he just had epidurals after having spent a month meeting with spine specialists, and he's not taken a snap in anger. He's not been hit yet, and we got 3 weeks before we start playing for real. I'd be a little bit concerned about that. But we'll see what the weekend brings because he's going to throw in a private session before they play the Dallas Cowboys in their first preseason game. And then we'll see if he actually gets on the practice field and can start doing all the regimen stuff he has to do to be the starting quarterback. So we're 3 weeks out.
Okay.
All right. A couple more here.
Let's do a little social media here. Let's talk some Aztec football. This is with Scott. He goes, hey, don't forget the $3,000 stadium fee and the required donations. I had season tickets for 10 years, rolled out the new stadium, and season tickets for the NFL was cheaper. Thanks. And that's for San Diego State, not Alabama.
Yeah, I concur. They've mishandled this. They priced it really wrong. And obviously, everybody who's in the group of 5, and, I got friends at Wyoming. And it's terrible up there because they don't have that tradition that San Diego State has. They don't have that kind of resource. You're at New Mexico. I mean, they are dirt poor. You're at Toledo in the Mid-American Conference or at Kent State. You're living in a different financial world. So is San Diego State at this point in time. Can they flip it? I hope so. Sean Lewis has a very good portfolio, very good resume based on what he did in the Mid-American Conference before he went to the University of Colorado. But boy, he's had no continuity. He's had so much player turnover. They've had no quarterbacks that you could really grow and trust. Do you know, I think the last two quarterbacks they had that were really big-time record setters were Ryan Lindley and prior to that, Kevin O'Connell. And that was 2010 and 2011. That's 13 years ago. So they've just gone through a mishmash of guys that had to play the game or manage the game that haven't been difference makers with the game. And then Sean Lewis comes in and he thinks he has one, and this kid quarterback that he played, Danny O'Neill, and then he bolts right at the end of the season to go to Wisconsin on a transfer. He's never going to play up there because 2 days after he signed at Wisconsin went and got a starting quarterback from the ACC. So there's been no continuity, but Sean knows people, knows players. He's got another truckload of guys coming in, but he's had to hit the reset button. So that means you're already back to square one. So he's got a 5-year contract. So hopefully we're not sitting here at 3-8 or 3-9 this season. Hopefully next season will be much better. But even going into the new Pac-12, that to me is the Mountain West. That's no different. So they got quite a sales job. To make this thing be what it was. And see, under Rocky and Brady Hoke, Long and Hoke were combined 106 and 48. I mean, that's really good football. And since that point in time, this team is 7-19 over the last 2.5 years. So they've gone the opposite direction. But let's give Sean Lewis another full year, and hopefully he'll keep players. He needs some continuity here to build this thing out rather than this start, stop, lose all these players, go find more players, and always go back to a clean piece of paper every year, because you can't build a program that way.
Well, here's the follow-up to this. And this is from Always Inspired. He goes, hey, winning solves everything. Just ask Rocky Long.
Well, I mean, they drew well under Rocky and Brady, and then it got away from them when they couldn't recruit quarterbacks. And at the tail end of that era, under Brady Hoke's era, they had a nightmare at quarterback. They were playing a safety as a starting quarterback, and he was competitive, but he wasn't a difference maker. And things just got away. I mean, they built Aztec football on power running games and great defense. Well, all that's gone away. And then if you don't have quarterbacks now, it just makes the job really tougher. So we'll see where it goes. It's just a tough era to be in the group of 5. And I don't care what conference you're in. Everybody, I swear to you, in a group of 5 has got the same set of problems.
Oh, yeah.
Retainment of players is virtually impossible because everybody's cherry picking the top players.
Oh, yeah. I believe it. I mean, they need to kind of restructure the system a bit while still giving the players that freedom to move around.
Okay.
A
couple more.
Let's go here. Padres, and who's this with? Joe Barr. Joe is a good guy. He's always responding. He says, hey, in the postseason, the importance of relief pitching is heightened. The bullpens of the two teams are not close. The Padres have several lockdown relievers. Dodgers have none at this point. Maybe Dodgers relievers will return to past season's form, but Padre relievers are really good right now. That's the area that tilts the balance in the favor of the Padres.
And I think the other factor in the equation, if we want to flip it over on the other side, when you're in postseason, you're not playing the White Sox or the Pirates or Miami. You're facing really good batting orders. And if you have a starting staff that can't hold up and is always in trouble, that's going to cause problems for your bullpen. So the Dodgers are really strong in their rotation. The Padres are down here in their rotation because once you get beyond Pivetta, please tell me who you really trust at this point because of the injury issues. Bullpen-wise, holy cow, the Dodgers are down here, the Padres are up here. Bullpens are hugely important, but you're playing really good teams in postseason, so your starters got to be able to hold up. And at this point, that's the glitch that I have, the question mark I have about the Padres, is we've seen potential, but where are they at this point? We know how dominant the Dodgers can be if they got all their guys healthy.
Well, see, there you go again. Like if the Dodgers get their guys healthy, they're going to be world beaters. If the Padres get their guys healthy, well, I don't know. I mean, they got to prove it, So you're half full with the Dodgers and half empty with the Padres.
You just don't agree with anything I say. I'm going to make you go out and you can sit out in the driveway. You do your segment of the show from left field where it's 109 degrees
It's
out
baking
there.
out there right now.
Oh, just terrible.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Okay, let's do one more here.
One more here. Okay. And okay, we just talked Padres. So let's talk about the Chargers. And this is from Jimmy Q. All my Charger clothes were dropped off at the Goodwill.
I don't see anybody wearing Charger gear, and I still have Charger gear, and I wear it on occasion, not very often. And when I do, I take a lot of flack here on this podcast, but that's okay. If it's clean, I wear it. But there's a hole in the heart of everybody in San Diego. I just don't think there's very many Charger fans. The TV ratings have been cut in half. They used to get a 31 share. They're down to about 15 share right now, and the product is pretty good. I mean, Justin Herbert's a really good quarterback. I like to say on his podcast, I hope Justin Herbert goes 17-0, and I hope Dean Spanos goes 0-17 for what he did to our community. But yeah, I swear to you, they've been gone 7 years. I think I have seen a total of 8 people wearing Charger gear in 7 years. And 4 of them were homeless people on the streets. I don't see anybody wearing Charger gear. I just don't. And I still have some of my Charger stuff that's stowed away, and occasionally I wear my Charger hoodie, but I don't see it anywhere. And I don't think there's any conversation in the media about the Chargers. We do on this podcast because I cover all the teams and all the teams in Southern California, but I don't see it on other podcasts. I don't see it on. I mean, when I do my Saturday sports package on KUSI, I talk NFL stuff, and I'm going to talk Rams and Chargers on Saturday morning at KUSI at 6:30. So get your ass out of bed early, would you?
You're up bright and early.
Yeah, I have to get up bright and early. But so there's a hole in the heart of this community, and there's anger here that I just don't think anybody can forgive. And the people that email me and say, "Oh, Lee, you're wrong," a lot of Charger fans here. I don't sense it because I give Charger fans great opportunities on Fans Forum. Or through my email on my website to call comment on all the stuff. And I write a lot of NFL stuff on my columns and my opinions.
You know, I moved here in 82 to be a freshman at UC San Diego. And I remember being blown away by how many people I saw around San Diego wearing Charger t-shirts. Oh, yeah. Charger t-shirts, you know, with that old white helmet and the yellow lightning bolt. And there was such pride. And, you know, here I'm kind of more of a baseball fan than a football fan. I came rolling to San Diego thinking, oh, yeah, we're going to see a lot of Padres gear and, you know, maybe they're going to play my Giants. And yeah, it was Chargers everywhere. So you're right. I mean, the local community is still bitter, but even in the YouTube comments, people will say, hey, man, it's more than just the city. That's my team. You know, I don't love the owner. I don't care about the name of the city. I'm a Charger guy. And some of these fans of San Diego are making that trek up there, but there can't be that many of them, right?
No,
I mean,
I don't think so.
It's got to be well less than 1,000, right? So, like a few hundred at most.
The most stunning thing, and I've said this multiple times on this podcast, when they put together the stadium proposal for Mission Valley, after what the mayor, the city, the county, CSAG, which is the group that negotiated what they did with the NFL, they had it right there. And Spanos refused to come to the negotiating table. And then he came up with the idea, well, I'm going to build a stadium right next to Petco Park. It was on a postage stamp size of real estate. It made no sense at all. And I maintain he did that with intent. Oh, it's going to get defeated. And he'll go to the commissioner of the NFL and say, see, we tried, and they turned it down. So let us move. But at the end of the day, Spanos could have been revered forever.
Totally.
Saved this team and built the stadium. And instead, he chose that path to leave in the middle of the night, and he will be reviled forever. That's his choice, and that's what I feel, and I'm going to remind you of it every time we have a chance to talk about the owner. Love Justin Herbert. I have such respect for the player, the person, the intelligence, and obviously I'm a big NFL junkie. I did 17 years of NFL football with the Chargers and with the Seattle Seahawks, so we continue to cover it, but there's a hole in the heart of this community that we just can't get away from. It's great what the Padres have become. It's great what that owner, Mr. Seidler, has done. One of the most unique and special individuals I've ever met. And I like Preller. Preller's a little unorthodox. That's okay. He didn't grow up in my hometown. He grew up in the town right next to me. I give him such crap about being a South Huntington guy when you could have lived where I lived in the little village of Northport on Long Island, and we were the classy ones. But at the end of the day, he's done a great job, and obviously they funded this thing, and they got a lot of players, and He's bold enough. And I go crazy about the fact he's traded the farm system away 4 times. But Petco Park has become a destination point. And I've told people, because I'm down there a lot, going to a Padre game now is like going to an NFL playoff game every night of the week. It's an event. And Gallagher Square, I mean, whatever Group and those guys have created is just dynamic. So that's where we are. We cover the stories. We express opinions on the stories. Sometimes you buy it, sometimes you don't. But as long as you follow, that's the only thing that counts.
You know, it's interesting. If you think about all the professional sports, the ownership, there are very few that are like a Peter Seidler, that where they were so beloved in the community, regardless of the medical health struggles that he was going through. Just what he meant to the team and what he invested in this team. But it seems most of the sort of the owners that are on the edge are more on the hated side. Whether it's Donald Sterling or Dean Spanos, we could probably make a longer list of them. But in your opinion, has there ever been one most beloved owner or most hated owner?
Well, I think depends on what sports you're talking about. Steinbrenner was really hated, but the Yankees were really dynamic because he spent. The Rooneys forever are revered in Pittsburgh because of what they meant to the community, and it's one of their own. Kraft is an entrepreneur beyond success in New England and Foxborough, and he's done a lot of great things there. They're the Busses. I mean, what Jerry Buss did in L.A. forever and ever and ever till he passed on. He's held in a very high galaxy of respect.
He is,
yeah. So I mean, there's good owners, there's bad owners, there's stupid owners, there's brilliant investment people, etc. So they come in all walks of life.
It's funny when we're in Dallas and you talk to Cowboy fans out there. When you talk about Jerry Jones, they sort of roll their eyes. It's like, Jerry Town or Jerry World. And, so he's not necessarily hated. He's probably just appreciated because he cares so much about the team.
He does. But have they been a Super Bowl recently?
No, it's been a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's got
America's team. I don't think so.
What have you done for us lately? Which is not much since whenever.
Yeah.
So, hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30 Pacific. We do sports talk the way it should be done. You can help us grow this thing even more. Give us a thumbs up. Follow us. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps us a great deal. This podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you. John, badass takes on some things. Absolutely amazing.
This pennant race is going to be fantastic. It will be next 2 months.
Still waiting for you to say thank you. I didn't make you do the show out in left field.
Yeah.
It was 109 degrees today in the driveway.
Yeah. Well, considering everything we were going through in the morning, that'd be a worry.
Have yourselves a great sports weekend.
You too.
Same to you. We'll see you come Monday. Thanks for joining us as always. Thanks for being part of our team on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast app.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.